Welcome to my channel Echoes of Coin. The United States 1776 to 1976 half dollar is one of the most memorable and widely collected coins of the modern era. Issued to commemorate the bicentennial of American independence, this coin represents a remarkable blending of history, artistry, and symbolism. The bicentennial celebration was one of the largest national events in American history, marking 200 years since the Declaration of Independence in 1776. To participate in this occasion, the U.S. Mint created a special coinage program that changed the designs of three circulating denominations, the quarter, the half dollar, and the dollar, so that they would carry imagery specifically honoring the bicentennial. The Kennedy half dollar was among these, and the 1776 to 1976 half dollar became an instant piece of history in the hands of millions of Americans. The obverse of the half dollar retained the portrait of President John F. Kennedy, first introduced in 1964 shortly after his tragic assassination. Designed by Gilroy Roberts, this portrait had already become iconic, symbolizing not only Kennedy himself but also the ideals of progress and renewal that many associated with his presidency. For the bicentennial issue, the obverse was modified only slightly, with the date reading 1776 to 1976, instead of a single year. This dual dating immediately set the coin apart, making it obvious that it was produced for a special purpose. The Kennedy portrait remained crisp and powerful, linking the contemporary United States to the promise and hope embodied by the president who inspired a generation. The reverse of the bicentennial half dollar carried a brand new design created specifically for the occasion. Through a nationwide competition, artists were invited to submit designs, and the winning entry came from Seth G. Huntington. His design depicted Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the building where both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution were debated and adopted. This building holds a central place in American history, and its inclusion on the coin made it an especially appropriate choice for the bicentennial. Above the building is the inscription, 200 Years of Freedom, a clear reminder of the purpose behind the coin's creation. The combination of Kennedy on the obverse and Independence Hall on the reverse made this half dollar a symbol of both the modern presidency and the nation's founding heritage. The size and composition of the half dollar remained consistent with earlier issues. Circulating versions were struck in copper-nickel clad, while special collector versions were produced in 40% silver. These silver coins were issued in both proof and uncirculated finishes, packaged in government sets that often included the bicentennial quarter and dollar as well. The use of silver gave these special issues both intrinsic and aesthetic appeal, with a richer luster and heavier feel than their copper-nickel counterparts. Proof versions, produced at the San Francisco Mint, were especially prized for their mirror-like fields and frosted design details, which brought out the fine architectural lines of Independence Hall with stunning clarity. The mint marks on the bicentennial half dollars provide another layer of interest for collectors. Coins were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark, Denver coins bore the D, and San Francisco coins bore the S. Within the collector community, assembling sets of each mint mark has become a popular pursuit. The San Francisco issues, particularly the silver proofs, remain the most sought-after examples due to their limited mintage and superior quality. Even so, circulation strikes from Philadelphia and Denver continue to attract attention, especially in higher grades where their sharpness and luster stand out. Production of the bicentennial half dollar began in 1975 and continued through 1976, with no coins dated 1975 produced at all. All Kennedy half dollars minted during this 2-year period carried the dual date 1776 to 1976. This unique aspect of production adds to the coin's collectibility, as it ensures that every half dollar struck over that span was a bicentennial issue. The mint produced millions of these coins to meet both circulating and collector demand, and as a result, they remain relatively available today. Many Americans held onto them as keepsakes rather than spending them, which explains why so many examples survive in uncirculated condition. The market for bicentennial half dollars reflects their dual status as both common and historic. In circulated condition, most are worth only face value, as large numbers were saved. However, high-grade uncirculated examples, silver versions, and proof coins command premiums. Collectors particularly value coins certified by professional grading services at levels such as MS67 or PR70, where perfection in strike and preservation is evident. These high-grade coins can sell for significant sums compared to their ordinary counterparts. Additionally, varieties and errors, such as double dies, die cracks, or off-center strikes, add to the intrigue and desirability of the series. Culturally, the 1776 to 1976 half dollar carried great symbolic weight. Independence Hall on the reverse tied the coin directly to the founding generation, while Kennedy on the obverse connected it to modern leadership and sacrifice. For the American public, this design was both patriotic and sentimental, representing continuity between past and present. During the bicentennial celebrations, these coins circulated widely, appearing in change across the nation and reminding citizens of the momentous occasion. Fireworks, parades, and patriotic events filled 1976, and in the midst of it all, the bicentennial half dollar served as a small, tangible memento that nearly everyone could obtain. The architectural detail of Independence Hall made the reverse design especially striking. Huntington carefully depicted the building's proportions, windows, and bell tower, capturing the historic site in miniature. Collectors examining proof examples under magnification can see the intricate artistry that went into the design. This level of detail not only honored the physical structure but also conveyed the weight of history associated with it. For Americans, Independence Hall was more than a building. It was a symbol of freedom and democracy, and its presence on the coin gave the half dollar a gravitas unmatched by many other issues. The bicentennial half dollar also had an educational function. Teachers, parents, and collectors used the coin to explain the story of Independence Hall, the signing of the Declaration, and the broader significance of 1776. Children who received the coin as gifts often kept them as their first step into numismatics, beginning lifelong collecting journeys. Even today, many adults recall receiving a bicentennial half dollar during the celebrations and holding onto it as a cherished keepsake. Its widespread distribution ensured that it touched countless lives and helped embed the bicentennial celebration into American memory. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1776 to 1976 half dollar is the way it bridges tradition and innovation within U.S. coinage. On one hand, the obverse design featuring Kennedy was firmly established, rooted in a portrait that symbolized a recent and emotional chapter of American history. On the other hand, the reverse introduced a brand new commemorative element, something rarely seen on circulating U.S. coins before the bicentennial program. This fusion demonstrated the flexibility of American coinage to serve as both currency and commemoration, reminding the public that coins are not merely tools of exchange but also cultural artifacts capable of telling powerful stories. The bicentennial coinage program itself was unprecedented in scope. Congress authorized the redesign of three denominations, the quarter, half dollar, and dollar, for the first time in history to honor a specific anniversary. This decision reflected the scale of the bicentennial celebration and the desire to involve every American in marking the milestone. By allowing these commemorative designs to circulate widely, the Mint ensured that the bicentennial message would reach the entire population, not just collectors. The half dollar, with its larger size and prominence, became a centerpiece of this initiative. While millions of bicentennial half dollars were minted, scarcity arises in specific finishes and conditions. The copper-nickel clad coins were intended for mass circulation, and vast quantities were produced at both Philadelphia and Denver. However, the silver-clad issues struck at San Francisco were made in smaller numbers, targeted at collectors. These silver coins, available only in special sets, represent a smaller fraction of the total mintage. Consequently, their relative rarity makes them more desirable in the numismatic marketplace. The distinction between clad and silver strikes has become an important collecting theme, with enthusiasts often building sets that include both types. Grading is another key factor in the value of bicentennial half dollars. Coins in lower grades, such as those with heavy circulation wear, generally command little more than face value. However, when a coin is preserved in mint state, with sharp details and brilliant luster, its appeal grows substantially. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have certified thousands of bicentennial half dollars, and coins achieving MS-66 or higher are increasingly scarce. The finest examples, graded MS-67 or MS-68, can command impressive premiums due to their rarity. Proof coins, especially those graded PR-69 or PR-70, are also highly sought after. Collectors prize these examples not just for their numerical grade but also for their aesthetic qualities, such as cameo contrast and mirror-like fields. The bicentennial half dollar also introduced the concept of a circulating commemorative design to a generation of Americans. Before 1976, most commemorative coins issued by the U.S. Mint were produced in limited quantities and sold directly to collectors rather than released into general circulation. By contrast, the bicentennial half dollar could be found in everyday transactions. This decision democratized the commemorative experience, giving every American the opportunity to hold a piece of the celebration in their hand. For many, the thrill of discovering a bicentennial coin in pocket change was a memorable moment that tied them personally to the national festivities. From an artistic perspective, the design of Independence Hall on the reverse represents an excellent balance between realism and symbolism. Huntington captured the building's likeness with great accuracy, ensuring that those familiar with the landmark would immediately recognize it. At the same time, the inclusion of inscriptions like 200 Years of Freedom elevated the image from mere architecture to a national emblem. The design speaks to continuity, 2 centuries of governance, liberty, and civic ideals anchored in a single building. The detailed lines of the structure, when examined closely, reveal the craftsmanship of both the artist and the mint engravers who translated his vision into metal. The popularity of the bicentennial half dollar can also be understood in terms of its role within the Kennedy series. Since 1964, the Kennedy half dollar had been a tribute to a beloved president, and many Americans saved them out of sentiment rather than spending them. This tendency extended to the bicentennial version, amplifying its status as a keepsake. Unlike earlier half dollars, which circulated widely, the Kennedy half dollar was already experiencing limited use in commerce by the 1970s, as inflation reduced the role of the 50-cent piece in daily transactions. As a result, many bicentennial half dollars went straight into collections, drawers, and albums, preserving them for posterity. The coin's symbolism was particularly meaningful in 1976, a year when Americans reflected deeply on their identity and history. The bicentennial coincided with social and political challenges, including the aftermath of the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal. Amidst these difficulties, the half dollar provided a unifying symbol, reminding Americans of shared heritage and enduring ideals. Independence Hall represented the founding vision of democracy, while Kennedy represented modern leadership and sacrifice. Together, they embodied resilience, continuity, and hope for the future. Even today, the bicentennial half dollar remains one of the most recognized commemorative designs in American numismatics. Its widespread distribution means that many people still encounter it in circulation, though less frequently than before. When it does appear, it often sparks curiosity and nostalgia, prompting questions about its origin and significance. For collectors, the coin offers multiple entry points, whether through clad circulation strikes, silver proofs, high-grade certified examples, or specialized error varieties. Its accessibility ensures that both beginners and advanced collectors can engage with it meaningfully. The bicentennial coinage also set the stage for later commemorative and circulating coin programs. The success of the 1776 to 1976 designs demonstrated public enthusiasm for commemorative imagery, paving the way for initiatives like the 50-State Quarters program and the Presidential Dollar series. In many ways, the bicentennial half dollar was a test case for how Americans would respond to changes in familiar coinage. Its positive reception proved that coins could be effective tools for education, commemoration, and national unity. The packaging of the silver bicentennial coins deserves mention as well. The Mint offered them in 2 primary formats: the 3-coin silver uncirculated set and the 3-coin silver proof set. These sets included the quarter, half dollar, and dollar, all struck in 40% silver. Housed in protective cases, these sets were marketed directly to collectors and the general public, with sales figures reaching into the millions. For many families, purchasing a set became a way of participating in the bicentennial celebration, and these sets continue to be popular collectibles today. They provide a tangible connection to the era and often remain intact as family heirlooms. For numismatists, studying the bicentennial half dollar offers insights not only into coinage but also into broader cultural themes. It reflects how a nation commemorates its milestones, how art and history intersect, and how coins function as both money and symbols. It also highlights the challenges of balancing mass production with artistic detail, as millions of coins were required to meet demand without sacrificing design quality. The enduring appeal of the 1776 to 1976 half dollar proves that the mint succeeded in this delicate task.